Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular board meeting of the DeSoto Area School District, Wednesday, March 17th, 2021 at 7:03 p.m. in the Middle High School Commons. I guess, roll call, please. Gary, I'm sorry.
Jess is absent.
Yes.
Gary, yes. Kirk?
Yeah.
Friends?
Yeah.
Jeff?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Dennis? Ryan?
Yes.
And Kevin?
Okay, proof of giving public notice, please, Ms. Green.
I am missing my page, but I need for that. Do you happen to have it on yours? This is not on mine.
It was posted in all the usual.
Yeah, public notice was provided in all the usual locations in DeSoto, Redmond, Berryville, Genoa, and Stoddard, and also published in the Vernon County Broadcaster and on WVRQ radio.
Okay. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
There are, in addition to correction to the agenda, we are removing the library media center update that will be presented due to the change in our meetings in April then.
Yep, but this is normally would have been a Monday meeting, but we're here tonight, and that's caused us a few board members also. At any rate, were there any people that submitted requests to address the board for public comment? Well, first I'd ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Motion by Jeff, seconded by Brent. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so then moving on, were there any people that wish to address the board for public comment?
We did not receive anything in writing by 3:30 p.m. On Monday or even today.
Okay. So then we'll move on to committee and other reports. First is 6.1, which is the Buildings and Grounds Committee report.
Guy or Jackie, if you are on board tonight, we'll let you provide that background information on our committee meeting, if you'd like to take the lead on that.
All right, how's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
So we kind of talked about the district office. We've been having some HVAC problems down there. We did find out in the last cold spell that we had, our vintage 1993 rooftop unit is starting to fail. The outside air damper, they adjusted that to let some fresh air in what they could. They also found out once they got looking, the airflow was not what it should be. Being that's an older system, it has fiberglass insulation on the inside of the ductwork, which is coming loose now, failing, starting to plug up the reheat coil in that particular area. So we are looking at different avenues as far as replacing the rooftop unit or possibly doing something like we're going to do in the old gym. So with that being said, the old gym, we put that out for that HVAC improvement. We put that out for bids the other day. What we'll be doing is removing the great big cooling tower downstairs, or outside, I should say, behind the back of the school. That's no longer working. And going to put in a couple of 5-ton condensing units and a duct sock along each wall in the gym. So that will be a little more better for us. Like I say, we just put that out in the paper, made some phone calls to some contractors. Another thing that we were looking at was the retaining wall behind back, which they gave us kind of scope of work what they were going to do, and that's kind of on the table until we get some more information. We did contact them today, and he's going to get back to us with some more information. And another item we talked about was leaks at the Prairie View Elementary. I did find out who did that roof. It was in 1998. I do believe that the warranty is no longer valid. So we're looking at options on patching the Prairie View Elementary School roof up there. I think that's kind of all we really talked about.
Okay, thanks, Guy. 6.2 is the curriculum committee report.
And the curriculum committee meeting is postponed until April because that topic was the Library Media Center Director's report. And so we will have that committee meeting also in April. And if I could, I know I don't want it to get too late, but we have some students watching, and I promised I would say hi to Xander. Hi, Xander. Thank you for watching. That makes me very proud to know that we have students who are interested. And I know you watch because you always talk to me about what you've seen. He's an elementary student for us. And I know when you get to high school, Mr. Parker will be extremely happy that you have paid attention to school board meetings, because part of his curriculum is to have students at least attend the annual meeting. So, hi, Xander.
Thank you. Okay, with that, then we'll move right on to business and ask if there's any questions on receipts and expenditures. No questions, I'd ask for a motion to approve the receipts and expenditures.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Gary, seconded by Ryan. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then item 7.2 is the approval of the minutes dated 2/15/21. Need a motion and approve those. So we need a motion to approve those minutes. Motion by Jeff Long, seconded by Brent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to juggle the schedule a little bit. And Mr. Gillespie is here this evening to speak to us about our scholarship investment portfolio. So we're going to move him to the front of the line.
Very good. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Always
you.
good to be here. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next time I'll be there. But anyway, so did everybody get the packet of information?
Yes. Yes, the packet was provided in the board packets.
Very good. So overall, I think the portfolio is doing well. We have the three funds that are basically, the average yield of the portfolio right now is about 4.2%, which is pretty good. So the Vanguard Wesley Fund, which is it's a good fund, but it's a blend of stocks and bonds. So that's not giving us as much yield as the other two bond funds, which are 5.35% and 5.02, which is very good for a bond fund right now. The Vanguard fund's about 2.6, which is okay because we get a little more growth because we have a little touch of equity in there. So the overall blend of the portfolio right now is about 14% stock and 86% bond and cash. And I think that's a pretty good blend. Could we get more aggressive? Yes. I'm not necessarily recommending it because obviously with being more aggressive, we'd have to accept more volatility. The focus of the portfolio, at least my focus, and tell me if I'm wrong, is to get good growth slowly and without taking on a lot of risk. And that's kind of the way I've designed the portfolio. So we're not taking on a lot of risk. The portfolio itself is generating over $3,000 a year in dividends, which is good. We are sitting on right now a little over $80,000 in the fund. We took $6,500 out in February. So we're sitting at about $80,000 now. And again, the portfolio is generating about $3,000 a year. So I purposely left the large amount of cash in there because I'm not quite sure how much you guys are going to want or need. So I think having that out there in cash is a good thing. So there's no risk with that, obviously. So overall, I think the portfolio is doing well. The one fund that I am watching carefully is the Vanguard fund, which is a good fund, but it's not generating as much as I want it to. So I'm not going to make any recommendations tonight, but I may make a recommendation in the coming future here, just to make some changes to upgrade the portfolio. So again, overall, I think we're on pace. If we looked at our portfolio since we started, which was April of 2016, we have averaged just under 6% in growth, which is good. And again, our focus my focus is to get good, steady growth with the portfolio with minimal amount of risk. So that's kind of where we're at. Again, if you want to get more aggressive, we can. I'm not recommending that, but that's your call. You guys can decide if you want to do that or not. So I think we're in pretty good shape. So before I move on, I had a couple more things to add, but does anybody have any questions regarding the portfolio?
I think it's doing what we want it to do.
I do too. And again, we can get a little more aggressive and we can expect a little more growth, but we have to accept more volatility. I'm just not sure that we need to do that. It's doing what we want it to do. So a couple of things that I wanted to add. If you could have the guidance counselor give me a call. I have a new scholarship donor, and they want to try to get it in. I don't know if they can still do it this year, but they'd like to make a scholarship this year. Is that possible?
Yes, that would still be possible. The committee hasn't met yet to make their selections. And the information we can get, we'd like to promote it out just to make sure that all of our seniors who are interested would be able to take a look at if there's any criteria.
Yep. So I am meeting with this individual on Friday. And so we're going to sit down and talk about it. They have an amount of money that they're going to contribute. Now, their scholarship fund will be separate from the school fund. So I'll help them manage that, but they still want to have a nice scholarship, and we'll talk about that on Friday. So if you could have the guidance counselor give me a call so I can just talk with her about it and just let her know what's going on, and talk to these people on Friday to get that set up, that'd be great.
That's wonderful news, and we certainly appreciate your management of this other fund because we will be able to give out 4 $500 scholarships this year. And we've been able to do that for several years, so thank you very much.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. The other thing I just wanted to make mention, and of course this will have to go to another meeting, but one of the things, I think that the scholarship program is moving along quite well. We've come a long ways. It's grown pretty well. But one of the things that I think we might want to think about, and this is you guys, is really trying to promote the scholarship program so that we can build it up to a quite a bit larger number. And the reason I say that is I deal with a lot of different schools in the area, and a lot of them have a pretty large scholarship fund that other people contribute to on a regular basis. I don't know if you guys have thought about that or if that's something you'd like to look at, because I think it'd be a great idea. I will again offer my services, no cost obviously, but I think it'd be a good idea for the school to consider. So you guys can talk about it when you can, put it on your agenda, whatever, and let me know, because I'd be more than happy to work with you to do that. But that's your call. I'm just throwing that out there. So anyway, so before I depart, are there any other questions? Anything I can answer?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. If you have any questions at all, let me know.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep.
Okay, so our next item of business then would be resignations, hirings, transfers, and approval of volunteers.
I'm going to have Mrs. Moline join us at this point because in your packet is an additional contract that we would like to approve, and why Dwayne is getting ready to bring her up. I share with the school board that it was deepest regret that we received Cody Morrison's resignation, our high school English teacher. He and his wife are going to be moving out of the area, as you read in his letter of resignation. And Cody started here as a student teacher, working with Stephanie Sullivan, made such an amazing impact with our students that when we had our opening at the high school, we immediately hired him for that position. And he's done just an exceptional job working with our students. We're so grateful. But we do understand that this provides them with an opportunity to be closer to his wife's family, and that's very important to them. So we're grateful for his time with us. Kurt Gaylor, who has served several years now as our elementary school counselor, is also potentially moving out of state, and we appreciate the work he's done to support our students, their families, and our teachers in those counseling efforts. So we're very grateful for the time both of them have given to us. We'd like to approve volunteer Jared Milren as the middle school, high school track coach program, so he would be volunteering with that program. And now if Mrs. Moline is able to be brought up, Mr. Grenning, we'll have her share information on this other contract.
Great, thank you very much. Everyone should have received a copy of the memo of understanding in regards to Ridge and Valley counseling services for additional social work services that are needed by our school district for a variety of reasons. Some for students that maybe have individualized education plans for their IEPs and special education. Others maybe have 504 plans, or in addition, just students who amongst the pandemic and situations that we need some of those emergency trauma type social workers available. And so we've reached out, and this is a social worker who's been working within our school district already through different capacities. So we'd like to extend that out for some services of our own students and clients that would be needing those. So very grateful for Alyssa Zuby to have presented this and also be willing to help our district out in these real times of need.
Thank you, Mrs. Moline. That would be all of our hiring recommendations and resignations, Mr. Pedretti.
Is this like, is this be filling in for Mr. Gaylor, is that?
No, this is to serve a special needs student. Mr. Gaylor will be with us to the end of the year.
All right, anybody
And
else?
just to quick clarify, this would be paid for out of one of our federal grants.
Thank you, Karen. Anybody else have any questions? I think we need a motion then to approve this contract.
Or all that.
Well, all the hirings, all of 7.3, the hirings, volunteers, and so on and so forth. So we got a motion by Ryan, second by Kirk. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, 7.4 is donations.
We did not receive any donations specific to the school district, but a little bit later we'll be talking about correspondence of a very generous scholarship that's going through the foundation in Baroqua.
And 7.5, were there any Fund 80 requests?
There were no Fund 80 requests this month.
Okay, so we move on to 7.7, sports update.
Mr. Erke, our athletic director, is going to join us and has some updated information for both our spring sports and our football conference only realignment. And we are inviting him to the meeting at this time. So while Mr. Grunning does that, I'll just point out that in the board packet, Mrs. Roxanne Fox, who's our library media center coordinator, has put together a plan for 3 years, and that is in your board packet. due to the change in our meetings from Monday to Wednesday, she was not able to attend tonight. So we will be hearing from her at the curriculum committee next month and at the school board meeting next month.
Well, we could.
Do we
move
have
on.
Brandon ready, Mr. Grunning?
I just sent him a text in case he didn't see it, but anyway, we can move on to some reports.
Okay,
Or maybe you want to go to that correspondence and talk about that right away.
we could, and that'll give Mr. Grunning maybe a little more time here. In the board packet, you received correspondence from Charles and Carol Pedretti. They have established a scholarship endowment fund through the Viroqua Area Foundation. They are donating $200,000, $100,000 in scholarships to DeSoto High School, where Charles graduated from, and Carol graduated from Argyle High School, and they are doing the same there. These scholarships will be presented one a year, and the recipient who gets that scholarship will receive $5,000 for the next 4 years. If they go to a 4-year school, if they go to a 2-year school, they will receive $5,000 for the 2 years, and if they continue on into a 4-year, they will get those 2 additional years. There is some expectations that they maintain a certain GPA and take a certain number of credits each semester in order to, and successfully complete those in order to receive the continuing donation or scholarship. So we are very appreciative of a former alumni and his wife to make this generous contribution to that scholarship fund.
Brandon should be trying to get on. Texted me and said he was. So, hopefully,
Has he received the invite yet, Mr. Grenning?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, his computer shut down, so he's coming.
Okay.
Anyway, maybe start with a report or two.
All right. Mr. Ferget, are you available to give the middle school, high school report?
Absolutely. Yep. Can you hear me?
We can, thank you.
Okay. Just have some dates for the school board. Monday, April 10th, the FFA will hold its annual banquet for students and parents only, but we will broadcast it virtually, hopefully. We'll have to work with Mr. Browning on that. Wednesday, April 28th, we'll be hosting an arts and education night, which will include our spring music concert, as well as exhibits from our art, Spanish, ag, tech ed, and sciences. Wednesday, May 5th, is being looked at for our scholarship night for NHS students to be inducted, as well as senior scholarships. Saturday, May 26th, I think I maybe mentioned this last time, we're looking at this as our junior prom night. I'm sorry, Saturday, May 22nd, as our 2021 junior prom night, and we're looking to hold it at the high school. We're going to rent a tent as well, so we can keep part of it outdoors. Hopefully, allow all of our students that want to attend in a safe way. And so we're still working on some of those details. Friday, May 28th will be graduation in the new gym. We will allow graduating students to have 4 family members in attendance for that evening. And Thursday, June 3rd, will be our 8th grade promotion ceremony at school, beginning probably around 10:30, I believe, Mrs. Grounding, that's what we talked about. And then lastly, the biology club is hosting an electronic waste drive beginning on Saturday, May 1st. And they're looking to collect old cell phones, tablets, laptops, printer cartridges, and so on as in a recycling effort. So anything that I missed, Mrs. Groning?
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, but I know you know the answer to this. You work so hard in contacting families that have children still remote learning, and you've been very successful at helping ease fears and transition into coming back to DeSoto Middle School and High School. I'm wondering if you could recall off the top of your head how many students are still remote learners.
We're looking at about 4, I believe, in the high school. And I think currently we're at 5, but 1 will be returning here soon. And we're hoping to get another one back here by the beginning of the 4th quarter. In the middle school, I believe we only have 1 remote learner. Otherwise, everybody is back to in-person learning, which is awesome because we really want them to be in person. We think that's the best way to teach our students, and we're excited to have them back every day they return. So we're hoping that we'll get them all back by the 4th quarter. So
thank you for all your efforts to work with the families and help with that transition back to school. So we're just very glad that we have this safe and healthy environment and been able to maintain that. And we've got our kids back in the school building. So we will hope those mitigation efforts continue to work.
Absolutely. Congratulations to everybody, parents, students, the board, administration, and teachers for keeping our kids safe and allowing to come back to in-person learning. So
thank you, Mr. Ferget. Mr. Erke, I understand you've joined us, and so we apologize for not getting you the invite on time. So thank you for loading up and coming back to join us.
You bet. I put a sheet in everybody's board packet, so I don't need to screen share, but I just wanted to give everybody an update that our request for joining the 8-player football in 2 years went through the entire process and has since been approved. So starting in 2022, we will be a part of a new 8-person football conference. As you can see, that includes Belmont, Kickapoo, Lafarge, North Crawford, Wisconsin Heights, and Waniwak Center Weston. Thankfully, this is exactly what, between Ev and Lindsay and I, when we talked, this is kind of where we felt we best fit. The travel, as you can see, are a lot of conference opponents we have. Belmont, who we scheduled last year, and then Wisconsin Heights, but again, that's not too far. So moving forward, that is what we're looking at. Obviously, as more schools transition to 8-player football, that could be changed or the conference could be added to. Just in my conversations with Ev, he believes that as schools in our conference that are not joining in 2022 decide to make that move, that the plan, that we would propose would be that Ridge and Valley schools just kind of start an 8-player football conference. So it was a lot of work, but I'm happy that we made it through without any glitches and roadblocks. So that will be our plan moving forward. And then in regards to spring sports, we just got last week word of the spring sport recommendations and guidelines given by the WIA. And this time around, they essentially just said to follow your county guidelines and local control type things. There are numerous recommendations that are specific to each sport that I plan on going through with each of our coaches. All of our spring sports start on April 19th with games to follow shortly after. To be honest, we're still working on getting like JV games and trying to get, as many non-conference games and events for track and field as we can without making it too much for coaches and our student athletes to handle. But as far as guidelines are concerned, the conference met and discussed kind of what we would recommend. And Mrs. Groening, you can jump in because I believe the administrators met as well. But for softball, baseball, and track and field, the athletic directors wanted to bring forward some recommendations or things that we would like to see. One of which would be for these outdoor sports that masks would not be required, but we would encourage them when social distancing is not possible. That would be, we would advertise that with signs posted near the entry with masking / social distancing reminders. However, if you're not in an event or in baseball and softball where you are in the dugout, players and coaches would wear masks in the dugout. Obviously, if you're a fan at these events, we recommend that you would bring a lawn chair so you could sit and stay social distance. And then it was a conference decision that we think that proceeding and finishing the year without concession stands is a wise move. Like we have the rest of the year too, admission would not be charged. But I guess we're all really excited with the direction things are moving, and we hope to continue to stay as safe as possible. We'll continue monitoring our student athletes and working out through the sanitation process. It's a whole different set of sports and a whole different set of equipment, but as we get closer here, we'll have some more guidelines that myself and the coaches, with the help of Mrs. Grounding and the administration, will help as well. I know trap shooting is also getting up and ready to roll with Mrs. Moline, Ms. Witeski, and the crew, Mr. Kelly. We're working through just getting everybody's forms in and ready to go. I know that Mrs. Moline just got a shipment of stuff last week, but numbers, they look all right. We have coaches going throughout the buildings, trying to get kids that haven't signed up to sign up and give stuff a shot here so that we can have a successful spring. Did I miss anything, Mrs. Grounding?
No, you didn't miss anything, but can I take you back to that football-only conference alignment for 8th player? And would you let people know when this will start so they don't think it's next year?
Yep, so next year will be our final year with the 11-player conference. So our conference that we're currently in, that is all scheduled and ready to go. And then the following year, so the fall of 2022, will be our first chance and first, attempt at 8-player football. I guess I should mention, just so people are kind of aware, and we did this a little bit last year, but after talking with Ev and discussing, how we're going to prepare our kids for this, this year we are going to work on getting a handful of 8-player middle school and JV games, much like we did last year, just so especially the younger kids are ready to go, not this year, but the following year, so that hopefully the transition we have is smooth. I've already worked with Guy and Jackie just through conversation as far as, how the field's going to lay out and how that will all look. Goalposts will not have to move. We're just going to have to shrink the field width-wise a bit. But I guess, Guy, from what I got out of, conversations, is we don't anticipate any problems with that as well.
Any other questions, Mr. King?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Mr. Boardman, would you like to go if you have any additional items to add?
Yeah, just to go through with just kind of building updates. We already kind of talked about the retaining wall, the HVAC in the district office, the old gym HVAC, just some general things that we've been working on. We installed the bottle filling water fountain by the mail room there in the high school. Continued looking for roof leaks. This time of the year is terrible for roof leaks. Everything starts seeping in until it gets warm and everything seals back up again. Still working on plexiglass barriers. Boiler loop, that water quality that we did for the boiler system, that's been cleaning up very nice. The last time we cleaned it, there's hardly any fines in it. So in a short amount of time, we cleaned up that water a lot. So hopefully part of the next step of that is putting pumps in and everything. The water will be good quality so it doesn't burn our pumps up right away. Preparing for spring sports. Nets are ready to go in the old gym. Our summer order for cleaning and waxing the floors, we placed that. We did get a couple of pallets of that today. We also worked on the CARES wish list. Controls finally got done at the high school. They're working on the computer part of it right now. Stoddard, we did some boiler repairs up there, some plexiglass barriers. And Prairie View, looking at some roof repair up there. We did have a broken window at Prairie View, which was already replaced. And our handicap accessible door is having some problems, so we're checking into that. And that's all I got for you tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Boardman. I know you may have some other important issues to attend to, so if you need to leave us at this point, thank you for being here tonight for your reports.
Thank you. You guys have a good night.
Good night.
All right.
Mr. Fulsang.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Thanks.
Last night we had a staff meeting and we were talking about what a year it's really been, and from this date a year ago we've had a lot of work done and it's been quite a year. So I'm thankful we've been in person this whole time, and it's allowed us to do that. We really thank the Stoddard staff last night when Lindsay was there too. March Mathness is something we've been doing every Friday now. We spend about 10 minutes each Friday working on math facts with addition, subtraction, multiplication. It was something that the teachers thought would be a good goal. We're over almost 4,000 math facts done in 20 minutes. So we're pretty excited about that and trying to reach 10,000 by the end of the month. We were happy the playground was drying up last week finally, but then we got some more snow to melt. So we got the sleds back out today for a couple more days of that. This week we just got our last remote learner back, so we're at 0 now. So I know that those teachers were really excited down in 5th grade. So we appreciate all the hard work all the teachers have done to get kids back too. Stoddard Battle of the Books placed 23rd as a district for a team. I think there was over 100 teams, and Kelly can comment on that too. But we were pretty proud of our team that did that, and that was a virtual competition, so wasn't the most exciting thing they could do, but they worked hard at it. Ninjas and wrestling practice started up a couple weeks ago, so every Tuesday night we bring in over 40 kids to Stoddard, 2 different groups, and they've been doing a really nice job and working hard, so that's been fun to participate in. Mr. Josh did a little sap tapping the last few weeks in Stoddard, and we got over 20 gallons of sap, so we had fun doing that too. And then everyone's eating lunch in the lunchroom now, and we're talking about some fun activities we could do in Stoddard in replacement of the field trips, like walking or fishing. So yes. I got a friend bothering me, so there it is. I think that's about all we got at Stoddard. We're just excited for some warm weather.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Olson, how about you being next?
Everyone, good to see you again, even if it's from a distance. As Derek had mentioned, we're also very happy about how things are going still at in the elementaries, really clipping along here with all this COVID stuff to deal with. And thankful for the students and the teachers' effort this year through all of it. It's really been wonderful. Our Prairie View also participated in Battle of the Books. Our team finished 10th at state. We're proud of them for that accomplishment. Last Friday, our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders were able to go ice skating at the Roca Community Arena. And we thank our PTO for purchasing the 2-hour ice rental. And we've done that now, I think, for about 7 years. And fun to see those 3rd graders. That's their first year, and for most of them, it's their first time ice skating. And they show quite the improvement by 4th and 5th grade. And it's an activity they certainly look forward to. I spoke with Derek Boxrucker last week. He contacted me, and he's interested. So Derek Boxrucker from Southwest Bus, He's interested in putting a fuel tank at the bus barn. So he's looking into everything regarding what goes into that. He's already got some bids, which are long-range bids, look pretty good. We could certainly save some cost in fuel there. He would be 100% responsible for obtaining the permits. He would assume all of the liability, and he would be responsible for 100% of the cost. So hopefully he has more information by next month's meeting, if not, probably by May. So he's pretty excited about that possibility for him and us to save some money. As far as it goes on our end, we shouldn't have to come up with any funds or assume any liability. So it would definitely be a win-win. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kelly. I know that Guy will probably want to have that on the Building and Grounds Committee, that fuel tank. So we'll plan to add that to that committee's next agenda when Derek has some specific information. Let's see, Mr. Grunning, do you have any technology report?
Nothing to report.
Betsy just texted me her report, and she says to share out that the USDA has extended free meals for students until September 30th. So I think that is really wonderful that it will extend all the way into the start of next school year. And I hope that it continues, because that is certainly a financial burden relief for our families and ensures that any hungry child can get breakfast or lunch here. So thank you, Betsy, for sharing with me that information. Mrs. Moline, we'll go to you for your report. And the board also has a very nice correspondence from the state superintendent in regards to a suicide prevention grant that you and Jenny Rappinger wrote. And so please be sure to comment on that as well.
I could definitely start with that. And yes, on one of the snow days, Jenny Rapprater, myself, and Mrs. Groning teamed our resources together, and we were able to write the grant and achieve that to implement Hope Squad here for the middle and high school. In addition to that grant, it opened up some other resources through the CARES and GEARS funding and allocations that have to be specifically allocated to specific things across the state of Wisconsin. There's an additional allocation if you receive the first portion of the grant for an additional $3,000, which we've since submitted as well. So we'll hope to hear back about that soon. And our goal would be to extend that Hope Squad even down to the elementary levels and expand some other resources within that. So we're really excited about that, and actually just received some more correspondence about other school districts across the state of Wisconsin who are also undergoing these same types of interventions as Hope Squad, so that we could collaborate with them as well. Moving on then to the rest of the report, since the last school board meeting, we've held 13 IEP meetings or initial meetings. In addition, myself and other colleagues have spent a significant amount of time, 4 full days, when we've tried to work and attend remote conferences at the same time within our offices, which I think has given us a lot of opportunities in order to learn that we don't necessarily have to travel for. And typically we would attend at least one of these conferences, but it's nice that more people can attend. We can collaborate with one another and additionally attend other conferences without those travel expenditures. The first conference was federal funding. In regards to that, we talked a lot about the title funds, so Title I, 2, 3, and 4. In addition to that, the ESSER funds, CARES and GEARS funding, which are those part of those relief packages that are coming to us after amongst the pandemic, and how those resources can be utilized, allowable expenditures, and ways that our districts can support costs that are added right now. In addition to that, also talking about special education, flow through federal grants and early childhood or preschool dollars as well for special education. So Lisa Garvalia, Lindsay Grotting, and I have been able to have more in-depth conversations, ask questions from the Department of Public Instruction people, in addition to just kind of talking about our own specific allocations and the processes that go with that. So lots of learning and good information as we move forward. Piggybacking off federal funding, the last 2 days we've been learning about WISE data, in addition to trying to help do our normal day-to-day activities, and sometimes going back and watching the recorded sessions or just sending in off questions or reading questions that others have as well. WISE data talking about enrollments, licensing of staff and special education, and the list goes on, but just to give some people ideas of the types of data that they're looking at and collecting from the state. The admin team has also been working with a reading specialist with a 317 license from CISA 4. It is one of those state requirements that we have someone who assists our district with that type of license. So Jen Rasmussen has been a wonderful addition to that, and working after hours with our admin team into the evening as we're working on some different professional development and opportunities as we develop plans moving forward for all of our students and staff. Similar to Prairie View, Stoddard, Mr. Fulsang, and I teamed up to expand that kind of PLC type model and had some data digs and conversations with school level, grade level staff for an entire day. So Mr. Fulsang and I, as well as a Title I teacher and special education teacher, met with each grade level staff member, talked about needs assessments, as well as kind of guiding our next step in processes and purchases and things that can really help benefit our students in the math and ELA areas. The math Marchness, I think, came out of that, and really excited that that's up and rolling. Last thing that I'd like to discuss is just really a shout out for staff who've assisted with our ACT accommodations. Our students participated in the ACT this last week, and we had a lot of students that needed some type of accommodations, and very fortunate to have a lot of staff to step up into those roles that meet the criteria, and very proud of the students who really gave their best efforts and tried to show what they know and demonstrate their knowledge. So again, that ACT, we're really happy with the way that our students and our staff have been able to make those accommodations. Thank you.
Going to assist me by pulling up a PowerPoint that we will try to go through rather rapidly since there's a lot of information there. But it's basically a reflection on this past year, because on March 17th, 2020, we were not in school. The night before, we had our school board meeting on that Monday. And after the meeting, based on the governor's additional orders on mass gathering, we made a decision to not have school on the 17th, even though the closing date that the governor ordered was the next day, Wednesday, March 18th. Many schools had already closed when that order came out the week before, and decided not to run school for any school days that next week. We did run school on that Monday, which allowed students to start taking home personal items and things of that nature. So Mrs. Moline, are you having any luck sharing your screen? There we go. Thank you. So Resiliency and Reflection, our DeSoto Area School District's response to COVID-19, a year summary here. So the next slide there, when this all started early in February, or late in February, we didn't have a lot of information. Our first notification that something was up was when the DPI put out information on a pandemic plan template to school districts saying, get working on this if you don't have one. On February 27th, the next day, the Vernon County Health Department sent an email out noting the DPI sample plan and issued a statement that SARS-CoV-2 was not currently spreading in the United States, and that's February 27th. On February 28th, our school nurse sent the second of a flu information letter out to parents. We knew we were seeing symptoms. We understood that these symptoms might be related to this SARS-CoV-2 virus, and so we wanted to get some additional information out. We developed a COVID-19 in School Updates webpage on that date, and we started to increase cleaning and disinfecting procedures in our schools and developed an outline for the pandemic plan. On March 2nd, the school nurse joined a committee of administrators and teachers, and we developed the school health response plan, which was our pandemic plan. We published it on the website on March 6th. On March 16th, the Finance and Personnel Committee reviewed it, and the school board approved our pandemic plan. And you can see the names of those teachers and staff who served on the planning committee right away from our initial notification at the end of February to getting it developed by March 6th. In that pandemic plan, there were different areas of information, and you can see they fell under major categories of steering, operations, planning, and logistics. And on the next slide, it also included administration, operations, and then we were the first school district in the county to complete the State Department of Health Services risk assessment plan, get it to Vernon County Health Department and Emergency Management, and have it approved. That risk assessment addressed visitor restrictions, education, monitoring, and screening for staff and students, our available PPE and supplies that we needed for cleaning and disinfecting, infection prevention and control practices, communication to staff, students, family, and the community, health office management. On March 3rd, Governor Evers put out an email to state employees that was also sent to district administrators. And what's interesting about this is that if you go back to the February 27th notification from the county health department, this virus wasn't in the United States as of yet. The governor noted that the risk of anyone getting COVID-19 in Wisconsin was still low as of March 3rd. Noted that they were working with the CDC and local health departments, healthcare systems, and also encouraged that a plan be developed by individuals, employers, colleges, schools, and university. Statewide closure came on an order on that Friday, March 13th. We were in school on March 16th, had that school board meeting, but also on that day, the governor issued a mass gathering order of no more than 50. Well, we knew that we would have more than 50 in our cafeterias and potentially that on our buses. And so we felt that we couldn't comply with that order, even though technically it did not apply to schools. We felt it was important to just go ahead and close them on that 17th. Also corresponding to March 17th, the governor gave out another mass gathering order that limited groups to 10. And that just would not have been feasible for busing, classrooms, or schools. Our district initiatives are kind of outlined there. When we learned that the governor had issued an order to close schools on that same day, March 13th, we put out a parent guardian survey to solicit information on how we could serve our students who would be homebound learning, as well as families with any kind of educational or other needs they might have. When we closed school on the 17th, we remained open to allow students to come in and their parents to come in to pick up their supplies and personal items in a controlled entry format. We were starting to check out our school devices, and I certainly credit Mr. Grunning for organizing that so well, the teachers and the secretaries for getting that organized at all the buildings so that we could be immediately responsive and get those Chromebooks checked out to our students. Hard copy assignments were also being made. And in addition, our teachers were setting up Google Classrooms and learning how to create those virtual learning classroom environments. 2 days after we closed school, I'm proud to say that our food service staff was able to shift and start preparing go bag breakfasts and lunches. And we were distributing them with the help of our school bus drivers who came to work. We loaded up those buses around 6 in the morning each day. And for the first couple of weeks, we had several of our aides and administrators and other people riding the buses along with the bus drivers to help with that distribution, to get those meals into coolers or boxes or whatever people left out. In addition, we provided birthday treats to students in those meal packets. So normally our kids, especially at the elementary level, get their name in the announcement and bring treats to school, and we wanted to make sure the treats were brought to them. Our school pantry also became a viable distribution point where we could get extra food to families. And we cleaned out that pantry several times, and thanks to benefactors, we were able to restock it. We continued with our COVID-19 and school updates page, and our food service staff continued with meal services throughout the summer. There's a couple of pictures coming up just to show you what that looked like. The happy birthday package is on the left there. It varied with cookies and cakes and different things. And you see one of our high school students was good enough to put his hat on. That is one of the food boxes that went out from our food pantry. And along with the food, we also provided laundry soap, dish soap, personal hygiene items, and other products that we knew families would need. The next picture is Betsy's out there, and that looks like it might be Dwight. We're loading up the buses to start delivering food to students, which is something that we did all through the remainder of the school year. Local support, this community stepped up to provide support, and I'm sure I left a few names off there, and I will apologize, but our booster club, which normally supports athletics, jumped in and provided the mini coolers that you have seen. Walmart and Viroqua donated our bags that we were using to bag up the breakfasts and the lunch. Genoa Bank and the Lions Clubs, DeSoto, Genoa, and Stoddard, the John Cena Foundation, and Joel and Jackie Greiner gave generous donations so we could keep that food bank stocked and do special programming for our students. And there's the picture of the cooler that went home to all of our students, and then coolers on top of a cooler at somebody's yard. So there are often many kids at one household that we were feeding with the breakfasts and lunches, but those mini coolers held things like the milk and the juices. The Safer at Home order was issued, which meant that while everyone thought we'd be back in school by April 6th, it was extended to April 24th, and then we know it was extended again to June 30th. So we realized that there were going to be impacts on our educational programs. And some of the things that were lost to our students and students from all over the state were the winter sports tournaments, the spring season, prom. Our 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip was canceled. We are obviously not running it this year. We're looking at doing that sophomore year for students as part of U.S. history. It applies to that curriculum as well. And we certainly hope that this is a trip we'll be able to continue to offer to students. Our elementary students lost their state capitol and other field trips, and we had to postpone 4K graduation, 5th grade promotion celebration, which did occur at the start of the school year. We had some events that did occur and traditions. You know that Michael Carbonaro from the Carbonaro Effect, thanks to Art Fahey from the Lacrosse Center, gave a live performance, which involved several of our students who helped MC or asked questions that we had, probably 80 questions submitted by students, and he selected 7 of them to ask him live, and he did a little magic for us. And we're very, very grateful for that. Everyone saw the music entertainers that were out there, but we had a magician and we were thrilled. We did a virtual class graduation thanks to Mr. Grunning and some pretty amazing editing. We were able to put together their speeches. They're picking up their diploma in front of the school. That wonderful marquee that was donated by Bob Bonine. We were able to put their names on the marquee, and they used that as a picture point with their families. We did a virtual 8th grade graduation. Our 8th graders worked all May online in Google Classrooms to put that together, and then that was also broadcast live virtually. And then we did in-person graduations for the class of 2020 outside, and the 8th grade promotion was also held in person. And as I mentioned earlier, the elementary programs occurred as well. This next slide is a nice picture of the students coming. What you see on the table there is that Betsy made them the homemade cinnamon rolls, which has been a tradition for seniors to receive that on the morning of graduation. So a few kids pictured there. We were busy with the school reopening plan. We knew we wanted to try to open with summer school during the summer at one point, and as well as the school year. We appreciate that the school board supported that concept of being able to have students in school, and we're grateful that our parents were wanting that to occur as well. Opal Hofstad, our school RN, took the lead on our planning committees along with Karen Moline, who's our People Services Director, in addition to the Special Ed Director and Homeless Coordinator. Along with other staff and faculty, we work very hard consulting, and I wish to acknowledge these people because the Vernon County Health Department and Vernon County Emergency Management worked beside us the entire way as we developed our plan, connected it to information from the CDC, prevention and mitigation practices. Dr. Pryor, our district physician, also reviewed the plan and provided us with suggestions and recommendations. Guy and Jackie worked hard with our manufacturers of disinfectants and the company that distributes them to us to make sure we were getting the CDC EPA approved product for cleaning, and that we got our custodial maintenance staff trained as well as our district staff. And we invited our insurance company risk assessor to also review the plan and provide us with any changes that we could make to ensure we could provide the safest and healthiest school environment for our students as well as our staff. Our school board committees, I wish to acknowledge all of you in this room because you serve on many of these committees and more than one. Policy was charged with reviewing our health policies in respect to this plan. Curriculum was charged with reviewing how we would be offering remote learning and simultaneous learning for those students who were remote or in our building, as well as our students who might want to enroll in our DeSoto virtual charter school. Finance and personnel had to address the expenses because at the time we were not sure if we would be getting aid from the state or federal government for the expenses that were going to be incurred for cleaning products, PPE, and plexiglass dividers that we were building. Building, grounds, and transportation. We knew we had to address building facility issues and changes to accommodate in-person learning to ensure that our HVAC provided us with quality air control in our buildings, and transportation. We had to address how we were going to get students to and from school and the safety protocols that would occur on the bus, which also included regular disinfecting and cleaning. The next slide on reopening, I mentioned our custodial maintenance did receive training in how to use these disinfectants and where to apply them and how frequently to apply them. I'd like to thank Jackie Kraszewski for working with Dairyland Power volunteers who came twice and spent about 16 hours with us to help us build plexiglass dividers so they'd be in place for the start of the school year. We continue to build dividers as some of them need repair or as additional students have returned to school. 1 or 2 in a room means we need an additional divider. So we're glad to have everybody back, and we are keeping doing our mitigation efforts that have proven to be effective. We offered virtual summer school in June thanks to the efforts of our teachers and Mr. Olson. We started up summer sports in person in July. And then we had in-person summer school with Jump Start in August. As you know, we held 3 virtual town hall meetings, and Mrs. Moline and Kim Bonenkamp coordinated phone calls, text messages, and chat room messages so we could take questions during the meetings and respond to that. District training occurred as well. In the next couple of pictures here, we'll see some of the Dairyland Power workers that are working on creating the dividers. The next picture shows what of our elementary schools look like, and what we're very proud of these dividers is that they extend beyond the table. The ones you can buy just sit on the table. These extend beyond so that when a student is sitting side by side, if they look to the side, they will be looking into a barrier that is one added layer of protection between them and any other students. The next slide shows Stoddard Elementary office and the barrier that's in place there. We have these barriers in our kitchens as well, and in our other offices. Daily prevention and mitigation, we are continuing with those protocols. We realize that as the statistics show that the number of cases are dropping, positive cases, that the number of contact trace numbers are reducing, and the number of people getting vaccines is increasing. We know that until it is truly safe, that we want to maintain our mitigation practices that have been successful for us here. And that's wearing masks, personal hygiene of hand washing, hand sanitizing, the feasible distancing when we are able to, the plexiglass dividers in place for that extra barrier when we are closer than the 3 feet, which is now the World Health Organization recommendation and may soon become the CDC recommendation. Minimizing contact outside the school day, outside of classrooms, making sure grade levels are staying together. Daily targeted cleaning and sanitizing and disinfecting procedures. When a student leaves their room in between classes, the teachers are wiping down where they were on those high-touch areas. And we continue to do that. And that's certainly a lot of extra work for our custodians to prepare those microfiber cloths with that disinfected in a bucket every day, and then get the dirty ones at the end of the day washed and ready for the next day. And we closely monitor the health situations and illnesses in relation to absences. We reopened, as you know, on September 1st. That was our first day of school. We had over 92% of our students returning for the traditional model of in-school, in-person instruction. Parents did have the elective of choosing remote learning when their kids joined their classrooms at the time the class was in session with their peers and teachers, or to enroll in our virtual charter school, which has been something we've offered for 5 years now. We did start up our middle school and high school fall sports, and we did as much as we could as normal. We had homecoming activities, even though we did not have the dance. We had the coronation broadcast live. Our student council had their blood drives and promoted the giving tree, and with generous donations, we were able to order things, pick up from Walmart and other stores, and get them delivered to homes. Our elementary and middle high school had holiday programs that were broadcast virtually and still are available for people to view on the school websites. We offered middle school, high school winter sports. You heard about the Gifted and Talented Network, Battle of the Books, Quiz Bowls coming up. Our high school math club is going to have a competition soon. And our FFA advisor, Hillary Bark, has got competitions underway this week with our students competing virtually. When we return to school, this next slide shows you what our cafeteria looks like. That's where we're sitting right now. But that picture shows how we've got students spaced on the opposite ends of 6-foot tables to maintain that distance, but still allow them the opportunity for some social interaction, which is much needed. This slide shows students at work with the plexiglass divider in place there. Planning forward, the next slide is, I'd like to just share that on March 2nd, we vaccinated staff. 76 individuals received their vaccine by March 2nd. March 23rd at Stoddard Elementary is the second scheduled staff vaccination date for that second shot. March, we opened up our facilities to community use. We are not untypical with that. We have schools all over our county that are doing the same for youth basketball, youth wrestling, and our weight room for community use. Mike Paulsrud is running that 2 nights a week from 6 to 8 p.m. When people are finished using it, adults in our community are finished using each piece of equipment, it is wiped down with the microfiber EPA CDC approved disinfectant. And then the next morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, custodians go in there first thing in the morning at about 6 a.m., spray down the whole facility, and it is ready for student use by the time the school day starts. On April 12th, I think Tim mentioned all of these. On this slide, I didn't add in that National Honor Society Scholarship Banquet, which I think he mentioned was May 5th, but you can see those other dates there as well. And in closing, I just wish to say a huge thank you to our students. They followed the protocols. They have been excellent. There's very little complaining. They like a mask break every now and then, and our teachers have done a wonderful job of getting them outside for that. And as the weather improves, we'll see even some more of that. We can't thank our parents enough for the support that has been given to us and our teachers. And the understanding as we work through a few technical glitches, or as we have managed both in-person learning and teaching kids at the same time who are remote learning in. This has been an unprecedented year, and it's just an amazing school district of students and families and community support led by our administrative team and the school board to have gotten to this point. And so 1 year later, we are in school. Our students are here, our staff is here, and congratulations to everyone for that successful accomplishment.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody that made it all happen. It really is an incredible accomplishment. Anyway, did you have any other reports that you'd like to give?
I think that will do it.
Are you sure? God, we got another hour. Wait.
Oh, they're picking on me now. The only other thing is one more piece of correspondence.
Okay.
In the board packet is correspondence on the mandatory 10-digit dialing that's coming to the country. The Federal Communication Commission has adopted 988 as a new 3-digit number to be used nationwide to reach the National Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Crisis Lifeline that will start on July 16th, 2022, 988. Until that time, the 1-800-273-TALK will continue to reach the Suicide Prevention and Mental Health Hotline, Crisis Hotline. That's 1-800-273-TALK. The change for needing to do 10-digit dialing will begin on April 24th, and everyone is asked to use both the area code as well as the 7-digit number, and those calls will go through that way. If you forget and just dial the 7-digit number, those calls will still be completed until October 24th. And on October 24th, 2021, all numbers are going to require both the area code and telephone number. You won't be dialing one in front of it unless it's a long distance call. But if it's a local call, it will need both the area code and the telephone number. Though I will share with you that the emergency numbers will remain the same. 911 to get to emergency services, any 211, 311, 411, other numbers like that will still be able to be reached. And even though the National Suicide and Prevention Hotline will have a new 988 number as of July 16, 2022, that 1-800-273-TALK, T-A-L-K, will still be operational. So sharing that because that will mean that we'll be really happy that it's a push button phone instead of the old rotary dial that I grew up with, which is really aging me, I know.
Okay, thank you very much. We got correspondence. Did anybody have anything specific they wanted on next month's meeting? If not, we'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Jeff, seconded by Brent. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for tuning in.
Good night, Xander. Hope you're in bed.
Okay,